Everyone, welcome to Maych TV. What's happening? I know a lot of people kind of miss the clap when I do the live shows. Wait there, the clap, this clap, not the one you get for being, bad. Right, hi, yes, welcome to Maych TV. I'm doing this live because I thought, why not? It is a Thursday. Liverpool return to Premier League action on Saturday. If you go onto social media and you've got a lot of Liverpool follows, it will look like an absolute dumpster fire of a world. You would imagine that the sky is falling and everything is wrong and horrible at Liverpool. I disagree. I think everything's largely fine at Liverpool. But look, I asked the question, so I put the tweet out. This is when we do this live, it has to be very low tech for an iPad streaming randomly to the. Anyway, look, so I put a tweet out. I said, hoping to get back to weekly videos on my YouTube channel for tomorrow. Anything in particular stressing you out? Any Liverpool topics you want me to dive into? So Moessy81 said, our squad structure and how we are now maxed out with the foreign player limit, which is now having an effect on our transfers. And there's lots and lots and lots of that kind of thing. And people want to talk about Harvey Elliott as well. But I'm going to talk about the transfer thing because the transfer window is open. I'm going to try and adjust this because that's really I like exposure, but nobody likes overexposure. There we go. That's better. Right, so yeah, let's talk about Liverpool transfers. Why aren't Liverpool signing players? Why haven't they signed? I've seen a number of tweets and I've seen a number of comments on the Redmen YouTube channel saying, why haven't Liverpool signed anyone? Why aren't FSG signing anyone? And I'll be honest, I find that crazy. Why? Not because I don't think that Liverpool should be adding to the squad and I think the Liverpool squad's perfect. It's because Liverpool have literally signed a footballer. They've literally signed a footballer. They very literally signed Ibrahima Konate for £36 million. £36 million, which I understand isn't £100 million on Jack Grealish, which is insane money, by the way, for Jack Grealish. Think he's great. Think he's terrific. But is he £100 million gate? He's not. He's just not. He's just not. Maybe he'll prove to be that, but he's not. When you're breaking the British transfer record for a player who has had one good season in the Premier League. I think he's really good, but just to make the point. So look, I think there's a wider issue around this. So look, first and foremost, Liverpool have literally signed a footballer for very good money as well. Very good money, and I think that makes him. Does that make him the second most expensive defender we've ever bought? I think that's right. That's right. Certainly more than Sakho. Yeah, I think that's right. Virgil van Dijk obviously is being the number one. So what I've done is I've had a look at Liverpool's squad because Jurgen Klopp said last week he doesn't want any more players. Now you could take that, you could be like, I don't want any more players. Don't want any more. But he then listed all the players that he's got and he intimated that, well, look, I've got a full squad. And some people might go, well, that's nonsense. What do you mean a full squad? What does that even mean? Well, look, the rules around the Premier League squads are as follows. And this is a fact, by the way. And if you really want, I can put the links in the description to where I got this from. But there's rules. There's rules about how many players you're allowed to register in your squad. And you're allowed to register up to and including 17 non-homegrown players. And in that regard, it means actually English players, which I didn't realise either. Over the age of 21. So you can be 21, you can be 22 in this year, but as long as you started at 21 in the year that you don't have to be registered if you're under 21. And Liverpool in the past have registered under 21s just to kind of fill out the squad because you need to have a certain amount of homegrown players to be able to have your full quota of 17. That's another matter. I'm not getting into that. What I'm getting into right now is that you've got 17 spaces. Right, look, I've done homework on this and everything. So here we go. I don't know how visible that is. We're going to come to the squad depth thing in a minute, but here's Liverpool's 17 foreign players that we've got on the books at the moment, and I'm going to read them to you. It's Alisson, it's Adrian, this is backwards for me, by the way, so this is a talent. Adrian, Van Dijk, Matip, Shimikas, it's a funny joke, Konate, Fabinho, Thiago, Keita, Shaqiri, and I've expanded on him and I'll go on him in a second. Salah, Mane, Firmino, Jota, Origi, Minamino, and Robertson. Yeah, I had no idea that Andy Robertson counted as that, but Andy Robertson, yeah, is well, the way I've written it out, is the 17th non-homegrown player in Liverpool's squad. So, let's just start it, because obviously the biggest thing that I'm seeing it from Francis Song in the comments here, saying we need a Gini replacement. And I've seen lots of people saying that, and I don't disagree, because Gini Wijnaldum played every game pretty much for Liverpool last season. He was essential, and he's been a massive part of the squad that's won everything that it's won. It's won everything. So, yeah, by base logic, you don't get rid of a player who's that reliable and that much a core part of your first 11, and then not bring someone in, because that's crazy, right? It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But the reality of where Liverpool are is this. There are 17 spaces available in the Liverpool squad, and all 17 of those are filled. Now, you might say, so, and what? Go and buy someone and then sell them on after that. And I would tend to agree, because clearly we've done that with Konate. We've clearly decided that we're going to buy Konate no matter what. And obviously Grujic has gone out of this. Now, Grujic very rarely counts toward the 17 because he's been out on loan so often, but he was a non-homegrown player who would have taken up a spec in that regard. So, here's where we're at. The example I keep coming back to is look at Arsenal last season when they've got Mesut Ozil and he's not registered in the Premier League squad, so he can't play in the Premier League. And he was Arsenal's top wage, and he was on 250 grand a week. It might have even been slightly more than that. Either way, mega money to sit there and do nothing. So here we go. The next part of this, and I just want to add into this as well, by the way. So what I've done is I've circled Shaqiri and I've circled Origi, because I think in those list of players, and maybe you could make an argument for Minamino, and there's people who don't think Oxlade-Chamberlain cater necessarily up to the quality, and I'm not here to debate that at the moment. But the only two players I think are genuinely surplus to requirements, without doubt, Shaqiri, who's been told he can go and wants to leave, and I think Divock, who's fallen so far down the pecking order. I think it's just time. It's a natural time for him to move on, because I think he'll get better, and he's got plenty of good seasons ahead of him. We just know neither of those players actually fit how we play. So you could say about Takumi Minamino, we'll get rid of him. But again, it boils down to this: you need to sell someone. You need to have a buyer for them or a loan option for them in the first place. But I think Minamino fits with how Liverpool play. So I think he can play in the Liverpool system. You don't have to change your system. Origi and Shaqiri. Origi can, and Shaqiri can, but really they're both more suited to 4-2-3-1, which Liverpool don't play. And for a whole host of other reasons as well. But what I've also got in addition to this is the rough wages that they're actually on. So Shaqiri's actually on £80,000 a week. £80,000 a week. And Divock's on 60. Shaqiri's got a contract to 2023 and Divock's is till 2024, and that works out for each player. Shaqiri's taking home about £3.8 million. Now, is he taking home because of tax? My point is Liverpool are spending £3.8 million a year on Xherdan Shaqiri and £2.5 million a year on Origi. Now, that comes with a number of issues, because, hey, listen, for 80 grand a week, I think Jota's come in on 90. So to go and get someone who's going to be good enough to be a first team player for Liverpool of the right age as well, you're looking at about a Shaqiri wage, £80,000 to £90,000 to bring in someone good enough. So there's that issue in the wage budget. But there's also the flip side of this, of two things. And I think these differ between Shaqiri and Origi. Divock Origi's perfectly happy at Liverpool. He's got a long contract. He works hard in training. He gets occasional games. He's very laid back. He's very chill, and he's earning good money. So there's a degree to which you think, well, where's his impetus to move? If he's happy and no one's literally saying to him, get out, mate, I don't think there's a burning desire from Divock Origi to move on from Liverpool at the moment, and which is why I think there's been a lot of rumblings about him. He'll just stay. And I think if he stays, I think Klopp will be happy with him, because again, he works hard, he doesn't rock the boat, and if you have a break glass solution, you can throw him into the side. He's fine with him. On the other side, you've got Xherdan Shaqiri, who wants to move, but he's earning £80,000 a week. And there's a lot of clubs for whom that's a lot of money. Like, that doesn't put him in the top bracket of wage earners for Liverpool, but for the bracket of clubs that he's going to be moving to, £80,000 a week is a lot of money. That's superstar money for most clubs. Bottom end, a lot of Champions League clubs, but certainly Europa League clubs and below as well. So there's that issue. Now, obviously, the additional issue to this as well is just getting players off the books. Now, again, you could say, we'll just get rid of them. Just release them. Well, it's stupid for a start. For a start, because you can't, because you've got to pay the contracts off. So if you wanted to pay Shaqiri's contract off, you're talking 3.8 million. He's got 2 years left on his contract. So that's the best part of what, 7.6 million pounds. Is that right? Fast math, never been my strong suit. That's Chris's job. But anyway, so you're talking £7 odd million just to pay him off. if you decide, no, I'm not having you anymore, I'll let you go, which is what Arsenal have been doing. So Arsenal have been paying contracts off left, right and centre. It's madness. It's utter madness. You don't pay senior footballers contracts off. It just doesn't happen. And Divock Origi, to pay Divock Origi's contract off, he's got 3 years left on his contract, so 2.5 million a year, so you're looking at 7.5 million. So you can't just release them because it's costing you that amount of money just to let go. So obviously you're going to look for the taker. And worst case scenario, maybe you look for someone to take them on a free. But look, let's be honest, they're good footballers. They're Champions League quality footballers. They're international calibre. Xherdan Shaqiri is Switzerland's best player. Take that to mean what you will. He had a good Euros. People were pairing over him at the Euros. People are pairing over Renato Sanchez at the Euros, and he had just as good a Euros as Xherdan Shaqiri did. He did. He was a good player at the Euros. I mean, that's what he is. So we know that people want him. We know that Lyon want him, but Lyon are playing hardball because of the state of the market. In a normal world, I think you've got a handful of clubs, maybe more, who are going, I'll give you 10, I'll give you 12, I'll give you 15. And they're both rated about 10 to 15 million pounds. For me, Divock Origi as well as a goal scorer, and he is a proven goal scorer, and he's done it on the highest stage, at the highest level, against the best teams. I think it's crazy that there aren't more clubs coming in for him, but if there aren't, there aren't. You can't generate interest, and players are only worth what people are willing to pay for them. That's the way the football market works. So at the moment, I think Liverpool are holding out for a bit more of a Xherdan Shaqiri, and understandably so. Like £4 million is nothing, and the only way in which you would maybe accept that is if you've got the cash reserves and you don't need the extra probably 6 million you're hoping for. Let's say you're hoping for 10 for Shaqiri, and they're offering, in fact, €4 million is less than £4 million, isn't it? So that and you need that extra money just to get you up to where you need to in a transfer, then that makes sense to hold on. So Liverpool, I think, are wheeling and dealing a bit more. But the point that it boils down to is quite simply and quite fundamentally, to go back to this point, is that Liverpool actually need to move on at least one player. If they want to register a non-English footballer over the age of 21, then one more player needs to go out the door. And again, you could say, well, who cares? What happens? What happens if no one comes in with your valuation? Then you're I mean, we're talking millions of pounds, and I know we go yada 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 because we all play Champ Man and Footy Manager and all that kind of stuff, and £1 million here and there doesn't matter. It's like when you play the old Who Wants to Be a Millionaire quiz games. There's one on the Game Boy Advance, right? And we used to play it in work when I used to work for Game. And you take a chance on 12 grand or 16 grand or 32 grand, whatever. You know why? It's not your money. There's a reason why they pause and have angsty things in real life. When it's your money, you tend to take care of it a little bit better. And I think honestly, as far as smart business goes, you wouldn't want a few million quid here. It adds up. Take care of the pennies, and the pounds take care of themselves, or whatever, to paraphrase an old saying. You've got to be careful with that money, so you wouldn't want to just throw it away. And you also don't want to end up in a situation, as I say, where you've got an Ozil situation where, let's use Shaqiri only as an example. Let's say you go and buy another midfielder, and you've got Shaqiri therefore completely surplus requirements, and you choose not to register him in the squad. Well, he's costing you, what did I say, £3.8 million a year to do nothing. Bear in mind, we paid what? That's not far off what we paid for Andy Robertson. That's an entire footballer almost. It's half of what we paid for a Minamino. To have just for the privilege of Shaqiri coming to training with you every day. It's nonsense for me, anyway. And the last thing is just that I want to talk about, and the reason why I think, again, to Klopp's point, and why I'm not overly panicked and I'm not overly worried about the situation at the moment, is Liverpool's squad depth. So my next piece of working out, my next piece of homework was this: Liverpool's squad depth for the season at the moment, and why I think that, while I think that there's a general conceived notion that Liverpool's squad is somehow weak or poor, pundits from outside, I get this from pundits outside Liverpool, don't watch Liverpool and don't understand how Liverpool's squad is structured. I get people going, squad's not good enough. But when Liverpool fans do it, it's like, really? And I get there's people who don't like chocolate, you know what I mean? And I find them odd. But like, there's people who look at things and go, yeah, nah, not for me. And I get that there might be some players that you just think that certain players are not good enough, and that's a different debate. But okay, let's go through the squad. So goalkeepers: Alisson, Kelleher, Adrian, fine, absolutely fine. You know, the Adrian taking up an homegrown spot's a bit weird, but what he adds off the pitch, I think, is an invaluable thing. Great trainer, big character. They clearly like him. He's clearly well integrated into the squad. Sound. Then okay, let's go into the left back position. Reverse from there again. Robbo, Shimikas and Milner as the third choice. I think we're very well stocked at left back. I think we all agree. I think Tsimikas actually playing some games definitely helps. Definitely helps. I think we all feel a bit more relaxed about Tsimikas, right? Let me know in the comments. Right, let's have a look at right back. Trent. Okay, so underneath that, you've got Nico Williams, and again, you've got James Milner. Jury's definitely out on Nico. I can agree with that. And you can even argue you then got Conor Bradley underneath there as well. But he's a kid. We probably won't see anything of him, to be perfectly honest. I didn't even mention, actually, you've got Owen Beck as well as another understudy for the left-back position. I think, yeah, and look at comments there on Nico. I think he gets a bit of bad treatment. I think if there'd been fans in the stadium last season, I think we'd have seen more from Nico because he got abuse online and didn't have the crowd telling him it's fine. And the crowd would have told him it's fine because we love our players inside Anfield. We just do. Centre-backs, I've had a good point there. Joe Gomez, right-back cover, worst case, yeah. Centre-backs, so let's say left side of centre-backs is what I've broken it down to. I think we might see this where you've got Van Dijk as the first choice, Gomez as the understudy, and then you've still got Reece Williams underneath there. Right side of centre-halves, Matip, Konate, and I've got Kometio, but obviously because I think that you'll see Nat Phillips move on, but there's also Nat Phillips in there as well. Right, so thanks so much to Fergal McClement, by the way. He's just dropped a super chat in. Wow, I'm a United fan, but think your channel is brilliant. I listen to anyone talk sense on football, and you talk more sense than anyone. I mean, I'm not sure that's true, but thank you very much for the sentiment. Right, so look, basically what you've got 4 absolute senior centre-halves, and then you've got 2 youth, and then you've still got Nat Phillips floating around, because obviously Ben Davies has gone out on loan, so fine. Right, DMs, Fabinho, yes. Henderson, yes. So you've got 2 world-class DMs in there. Absolutely fine. Now, the issue is there, underneath that, you look at Milner, maybe Thiago. And Milner from pre-season, I think, is now the 3rd choice DM for Liverpool as it stands. And this is the point that I maybe circle back to. Henderson and Thiago are then your other midfielders, and underneath them you've got Keita, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, and James Milner as well, still to be thrown into the box. And what I've done here is I've bracketed Milner a few times because obviously, and I meant to bracket Hendo in one of them as well, because the point is he can play in all those positions, but he can't play in 2 positions at once. So the depth, he's a general utility player in that regard. So again, midfield wise, so let me just work that out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we've got 7. Is it 7 or 7 players for 3 positions? I think it's pretty decent. And then up front, you've got Firmino, and then understudy to him would be Jota, and then Origi beneath that. Mane on one side, you've got Minamino as the understudy, and on the other side, you've got Salah, and his understudies at the moment are Shaqiri, Elliott, and maybe Cade Gordon as well. So, in a generalised sense, I think the depth is fine in terms of bodies. Now, listen, you might disagree on the quality of those footballers, but that is the nature and the reality of Liverpool's squad. So circling back to the point I made earlier, even if you think that those players aren't good enough, the only ones you can only replace the homegrown players. So you'd need to go and buy someone homegrown if you wanted to go and add to that Liverpool squad right now, because you can't buy no more foreign players. And if you want to buy any more foreign players, then you need to move some out the door. So realistically, what you need to do is you need to move out, as mentioned, Xherdan Shaqiri, Divock Origi, or maybe Takumi Minamino. And the question then boils down to, where are the bids for these lads? So do Liverpool need more quality? I don't think Liverpool need more players, but maybe they need more quality. But the point comes back to this, is that Liverpool need to sell to buy, maybe in terms of actual finances as well, which I don't think is daft when you consider that everyone's sell to buy apart from Man City, PSG, and to some extent Chelsea. But Chelsea do sell a lot of players and generate a lot of revenue. So there is that. But what I would say is, a lot of the stress comes from comparing ourselves to Manchester City, and Liverpool and City are not playing the same game. They're not even playing by the same rules. It's madness. Liverpool are trying to do it in a balanced way. Now, there'll be plenty of people out there who might say, look, they might want a nation to own Liverpool, and maybe that'd be great. And look, I see a lot of happy Man City fans. I see a lot of miserable Man City fans, by the way, as well. But, it must be great just being able to buy anyone for whatever reason, whatever you want. But they don't win everything all the time. They haven't won a Champions League with that approach. Man City's approach hasn't won them a Champions League. And they've been outspending Liverpool for 15 years now. It's won them a few league titles. Absolutely, that's cool and that's undeniable. But when you've got that level of finances, that you should be winning the league every season. The fact that Liverpool have managed to do it, I think, and the way in which they've done it, I enjoy that more. I get more satisfaction out of Liverpool doing it that way. So yeah. So look, ultimately, why haven't Liverpool bought any players? They have. They've bought one player. Why haven't they bought more players is a combination factor. I think they need to sell a couple to add a little bit more money to the wage, to the transfer budget. And literally because there is no space to add foreign players into this squad. And that's it. If a player becomes available and if they've got a space, I have zero doubt that Liverpool will move, because Liverpool spend big money to do. This idea that you've got like the club is somehow cheap. They've got the second biggest wage bill in the Premier League after Man City. That's not people being cheap. It's not at all. It's not at all. You know, there's a reason why Mohamed Salah isn't having his head turned. Is because he's being satisfied by the football on the pitch. He's winning personal honours and team honours, and he's being paid very well for his rewards. Same as Virgil van Dijk and same as all the work. There's a reason why Thiago wants to move from Bayern Munich to come and play for Liverpool, and it's not because Liverpool are shit, and it's not because Liverpool are cheap. Liverpool play beyond competitively in terms of wages. There's only those handful of stupid super clubs who you can't compete with, and you're never going to be able to compete with them unless you have those type of owners. And if you want those type of owners, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting Liverpool to have a sugar daddy and have a bottomless pit of funds. There's not at all. But, you know, be careful what you wish for in some regards as well, because there's plenty of clubs who thought they were getting that and ended up in the bin off the back of it. Liverpool are being competitive at the highest level of football. They have the best goalkeeper in the world. They've got the best right back in the world. They've got the best left back in the world. They've got the best centre back in the world. They've got arguably the best defensive midfielder in the world. They've got the best creative central midfielder in the world. They've got the best box-to-box midfielder in the world. They've got the best right winger in the world, with the exception of maybe Lionel Messi in Salah. They've got one of, if not the best goal-scoring left winger in the world. They've got the best false nine in the world. And they've got a bunch of world-class talents coming up underneath that in the likes of Jones, Elliott, etc. So, what's not to like? What's to worry about? And the honest answer is very little. The thing to worry about is injuries, and no one can control that. Liverpool have been very good with that stuff for a number of years, and last season, I think, was a freak. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. So yeah, look, again, I get it, and I've seen lots of people talking about it in the comments, and I can't make you think differently. I can't make you feel differently. If you're interested, in that kind of thing, they're the reasons behind it. If you're not bothered by it, one of my points is this: if you just want to be angry about it, cool, man, be angry about it. But what I'm saying is, there's not really a reason to be angry about it. So if you're going to be angry about it, that's on you, not on Liverpool and not on other Liverpool fans. Increasing the stadium size, again, built a new training facility, bought the best players in the world, got the best manager in the world, and backed them by keeping hold of those players and not having them leave every year like they used to. Yeah. Do I think we're going to sign anyone? I think if Shaqiri moves, I think we might. I think we might get one more in. I don't know who that would be, because actually I forgot to say that. I think the only issue we've got is I think we're a little light in defensive midfield cover, and I don't think we need to buy a specialist DM. I think what we'll miss in Gini Wijnaldum is someone who can play the 8 and the 6. And we've got lads who can do that, but I don't want to see Thiago do that. And if Milner is the third choice, where Gini was previously, that is a weakening of the squad. I think we've got much better attacking talent, and some of this will hinge upon Keita and Shaqiri, not Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain actually being as good as they are on a regular basis. But yeah. Oh, actually, great question, FIFA Collins. What about when AFCON happens? All right, I'm going to do a video on this probably next week. AFCON's not as bad as you think. So actually, the games that Salah, Mane and Keita will miss is Brentford and Crystal Palace, definitely, in January. The FA Cup third round, Brentford, Crystal Palace, and if they get through to the final of AFCON, then they'll miss Leicester. If they get knocked out in the group stages, then that's it. They'll only miss the 2 Premier League games. So I don't think, this is my thing about buy a player because you need a player for AFCON. Again, I actually think, again, I would like another lad, because I haven't seen that Minamino's good enough to step up, and I don't know that Kate Gordon and Harvey Elliott are good enough to pick up the slack in that regard. But I don't think Liverpool are going to buy a player just because for maybe 3 games in January. Don't shoot the messenger, but that's the reality. I don't think AFCON is as bad as it's been made. Look, the league will be won by January 1st anyway. We play Chelsea on the 1st of January. If Liverpool are top of Christmas and then beat Chelsea, I think they'll have the league wrapped up. We'll see. Who knows? None of us know. So yeah, be cool, everyone. Try your best to be happy. Thanks so much for the comments and the super chats. I'll reply to a few after the fact. We've got a boss little community going on this channel. I hope to keep that up this season. There's a no blurts allowed in the comments thing. So if you're being a knobhead and you're being mean and you're being offensive, then you're not welcome in the Mates TV comments. In fact, you're not welcome in any of the comments across the Red Men network of channels. Yeah, we want nice people in comments, and we want to celebrate people who've got, you know, who are just happy and nice and love each other. Do we reckon we'll get Lewandowski? Probably not, but wouldn't that be amazing if we did? Let's just do that. Let's just buy Lewandowski. Yeah, we're all agreed. Let's just do that. Let's get rid of Shaq. Let's send Shaq back to Bayern, and we'll have that. Yeah, there you go. Great comment. Don't be a mean knobhead, please, ladies and lads. There you go. Thank you so much to Will, to Keith, and to RB, who I've just seen in the comments. But don't be mean. Be nice. Be kind. Be lovely. And remember that whether you agree with all the things that happen at Liverpool or not, we're all Liverpool fans. Every one of us wants Liverpool to be successful. So yeah, be nice to each other and leave the other stuff to other people. Leave it to Spirit of Shankly. They'll box it off because they're boss. Right, boss, have an amazing day. Yeah, swap Divock and Lewandowski, Michael. Agreed. 100% agreed. Have a boss day, everyone. See you all soon. Oh, Transfer Insight. Me and Neil Jones talking about will Liverpool sign players with a journalist. Check that out on the YouTube channel. See you all soon. Bye.